All right, let's get right into it. Let's start with a game that I ran across that is very interesting. It might be in Zealeus's wheelhouse, but at the same time, it may be a little too random for Zealeus.
It is!
So we're just going to start with that vague description. We're going to talk about the long journey home. Basically, you are on a spaceship that is setting forth to map the unknown. And of course, wouldn't you know it, as soon as you go through a slipstream or whatever the hell you do, your engines go kaboom, and you find yourself on the other side of the universe.
I know that feeling.
And of course, you are then tasked with trying to get all the way home. Hence the long journey home. Now, of course, this game is procedurally created, so no playthrough is going to be the same. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. A little long journey home, which of course I hit the wrong button. So here we go.
No short journey for you.
Yep.
Data Lake Studio West.
This is Zealeus Control to ISA Command. All systems are green. We are go for jump test. Over.
Don't
do it, Google Labs.
Roger that, Command. Keep the lights on for us. They'll be back before you know it.
Is about to become our next giant leap.
Mayday, mayday, mayday! We are trapped on the wrong side of the galaxy. We've got injured, ships damaged, supplies low. Is there anyone out there? If you can hear this, please respond.
I'm gonna guess no. You are out of luck, my friend. We're the galaxy's random generator. Because according to Stephen Hawking, it is not static. It is ever changing. Oh no, don't crash into the asteroids. And now you get to the nerd and not.
procedurally created plans, by the way.
We're gonna get to float, unlikely horizons, like the tree. Straight out of the weird.
Oh boy.
Endless adventures, one destination of
Another jump.
Earth.
Another step closer to Earth. The world has to know what's waiting for it out here. The nightmares and the wonders that we've seen.
Nope, I won't be able to bring my crew back home. I'm not going to go save Matt Damon again.
I figured you were going to say something along those lines. Yes, Matt Damon is now lost on the other side of the universe. Okay, so
Now starring Matt Damon again.
no, I do like the fact that it is procedurally generated, which means that you're going to have a unique experience. Now, of course, if this game has been done right, you're going to have a hell of a unique experience. If it's done wrong, there's going to be so much frustration by the fact that there's this procedurally generated universe that you have to navigate your way through, and certain mechanics are not as fleshed out.
It does look interesting, I have to say.
Because you're going to be navigating your ship through different solar systems. Okay, you're going to be investigating different planets. You're going to be interacting with extraterrestrial entities. Each one of those, and I'm sure there's a ton more, but each one of those by itself is difficult.
Yeah.
Now, basically compiling them on top of each other, compacting them together, it makes me wonder, and I'm sure that the game's going to be fine, but it does make me wonder, especially with the procedurally generated stuff, if everything is going to go smoothly through every single playthrough.
It's a very ambitious project for Data Lake, but look at Data Lake's history. They have a pretty good history of coming out with polished games.
Right, but I don't remember Data Lake going after a procedurally generated one. The vast majority of them have been like an RPG set in a, these are the different areas you can walk in. And yes, some of the battles are randomly generated when you're going between two locations, but you can't deviate from that. This is basically an open universe galaxy where you get to navigate, and everything is going to be different every single time you go.
It's kind of like almost like high risk, high reward.
Absolutely.
It has the potential to be a pretty fantastic game from the look of it. But at the same time, like you said, if you don't do the procedurally generating right, or for certain mechanics, you're talking many different mechanics. You got little spaceship fighting, you got ground to earth fighting, you got the diplomacy. If one of those fails, it could bog down the rest of the game, unfortunately.
Absolutely, and I think that one of the issues that or one of the complaints that you're going to hear if the procedurally generated atmosphere, basically, that core of the game does not work to what people expect to happen, you're going to have a lot of reviewers and a lot of gamers that are basically going to go, why the hell did you do procedurally generated and have it broken? Why not spend all your time on just having a set story where here's planet XYZ and this is the exact course you have to take, and you can iron out those kinks? Because when you put procedurally generated terrain, information, gameplay into a system, there is, of course, a humongous chance that it's going to break. Or there's going to be some flaw in the system which could potentially make your game unplayable, could potentially make your game undefeatable, or
pre-sale.
Or it could create a situation where the game's over like that, and you win, and you don't get that risk-reward building of the RPG.
But look at a game like Diablo 2, for instance, that had procedurally generated dungeons.
Right.
They had it balanced in such a way where one dungeon wasn't necessarily an advantage over another, and yet it became one of the most popular RPGs of all time, if not the most popular RPG of all time, hack and slash style at least. Because, primarily, great gameplay, we also have procedurally generated dungeons. So, again, if done right, I don't see an issue with it. But then you have to make sure it's balanced so that the way it's procedurally generated doesn't create unbalanced worlds that make some, like you said, stupid easy, and then some others impossibly hard. Well, the idea is you add the procedure generated to make it variation without changing the balance of the gameplay, I think.
Right. And to be honest with you, one of, I guess, like the predecessor or the perfect example of a potentially amazing procedurally generated game is a pencil and paper RPG with a GM or DM or storyteller, whatever, who's willing to just go with the flow and create an adventure that's unique to every single party.
Campbell.
Exactly. But the problem is, once you take that human element out of being able to correct anything, any humongous bump or issue that could potentially ruin a player's experience, then you kind of, you're skirting a very thin line. The one thing that you can do with a very set game, where you go from A to B to C to D to E all the way to whatever, to complete the game, is that you could test every single little point. When you have something that's procedurally generated, where there's exponential variables of how the universe is going to look, how it's going to feel, what you're going to interact with, the chances of trying to catch that are so minuscule, and I hope it does well.
So you say we need to have you beta test this game, because you are quite the OCD person when it comes to these games. You believe to find those little nooks and crannies that us mere mortals would never see in the game.
Okay, I'm not going to say that I can find every single nook and cranny, but what I'm saying is that you have to, in order to have a procedurally generated system, you have to test a lot more and a lot more thoroughly when you're dealing with basically the engine, to make sure that stuff doesn't happen. One of the great examples is there was a I do not remember the name of this it's a side scroller kind of platformer game. It was procedurally generated levels. The problem was that there was a chance that certain platforms could accidentally be basically stacked one on top of another, and and so of course the game's unplayable. And thankfully they were able to catch that. But I'm just saying, you take that, which is a procedurally generated you take something that's procedurally generated, and you then make it a 3D with several different aspects. It makes it a lot more difficult.
Yeah, I would agree. But, again, they're saying the bar high, though. And I think if it works out the way that they're obviously anticipating and hoping it is, it could definitely give them... Not a lot of people know Daedalic Entertainment's games right now, let's be honest. And I think if this becomes successful and takes off the way that they want it to, it could really give rise to a new level of popularity and knowledge of Daedalic Entertainment.
Right.
So it seems like this is like, let's go for it, guys. Let's make this happen. They've shown that they can make quality games already.
Well, okay, so the interesting thing is that this Daedalic Entertainment is actually created by an internal studio. Daedalic Entertainment is actually, yes, they do develop their own stuff, but they also publish a lot of stuff. So you have to take that into consideration.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, the vast majority of the games that they have developed and published, solid. I'm actually halfway through the latest Deponia.
Have you played a Daedalic game that you have not actually thought was a quality game?
One that was published but not developed by them, yes.
Oh, which one?
I don't remember the name off the top of my head. It was a game that was centered around, I think it was a Norse god or something about turning into a raven. Actually, I think it was one of the ravens of Odin basically gets their memory wiped, and you have to go through these puzzle levels, and it just wasn't well put together.
Fair enough. Well, it seems like it's a game that could be quality, or like you said, could have many, I wouldn't say suck, but could have many issues taken away from the potential enjoyment of the gameplay as otherwise.
Absolutely.